Hi, welcome to Perspectives Northeast. I'm your host Danny. Today I'm joined by Yayan.
Hello, good morning.
I'm joined by John.
Hello.
So today we're going to be talking about transport. Anything comments on transport today?
I transported myself into uni via the train and then the metro.
How was the train?
It was positive, a little bit late, a couple of minutes late, and then the metro was on time though.
I feel like that's a bit standard.
What a miracle that is, the metro being on time, let me tell you.
Also wrong sound effect.
No, there we go, perfect.
Oh yeah. So, how was you getting today, John?
Got the bus like I do every day.
Yeah.
On time, no troubles there.
Yeah. What about because you're from Wales, Yayan? How about at your
Transport
city?
is fine. I walk around Cardiff mostly because I'm quite central there.
Yeah.
The buses are all right. You know, I think it's the same problems that you have up here, really, with them not being on time. Sometimes the bus disappears off the map when you're tracking it on the app.
Yeah.
The trains are dreadful down there.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of buses, what about early buses? Like buses that show up early. Any problems with?
Not really. Normally, buses that are early are just buses that were late or were cancelled, and they just seem early.
That's in.
That's what bus drivers say.
This was some weeks ago now.
Yeah.
I missed my bus. I was on time. The bus was early.
yeah, I had a bus like that once as well.
Yeah.
It was only once though. Most of the time they wait, which is good.
Well, speaking from experience in South Yorkshire, the buses, especially first buses, calling you out, normally very late. Especially recently, have been kind of terrible.
You should
First
try
buses.
using a Reaver.
I should probably try using.
Then tell me about
a
late
Reaver.
buses.
Yeah. So, what about the history of transport? What about Thatcherism?
Oh, well, Thatcher wasn't very good for transport.
Well, Thatcher wasn't good for anything apart from the fat cats on Wall Street. I mean, the city.
Yeah.
We're not American.
But Wall Street helped. Wall Street would have gained. I mean, I've got an article here from the Chronicle that talks about how the buses used to be yellow in the Tyneside. And it's talking about how Thatcher privatised the bus service. Any opinions?
Well, I think privatisation in general is quite a bad thing. You can have it in certain areas, but generally, I think something like bus services and transport services are something that we all use and just really be in public ownership.
This is a bit off topic, but airlines, I think, are something that benefited from being privatised.
I mean, airlines
airlines
are probably the only one. But then again, the prices
I
for
think
flights.
I think you can't really compare airlines with something like trains, because with trains you only have like one set of rails. You can't have multiple train services on the same rails.
It's apples and oranges, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not really off topic, because again, transport, planes, trains.
Yeah, we've got an airport up here, haven't we?
Yeah.
Newcastle Airport. I think it's being renamed actually to Newcastle and Sunderland Airport because they weren't happy. Well, people in Sunderland weren't happy about it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but it's so Thatcher.
Well, if we look at the trains, Thatcher wanted to privatise the trains.
Yeah.
But the privatisation actually happened under John Major.
Yeah, but when you look at it, Thatcher's the one who sort of was the catalyst.
Yeah.
For the trains going private.
I mean, I've probably got this wrong as usual. But the problem with privatising trains is, there's stations that aren't as busy. So, for instance, the village I live in or whatever.
Yeah.
They just get abandoned, forgotten about. No trains stop there.
I mean, have you heard about ghost trains?
Yeah, that's one way around it. You literally run trains from A to B. Yeah. No passengers.
Yeah.
It's wasteful.
It's wasteful, but
also it serves a social purpose because if someone needs to get that train, and they have no other form of transport, then it's a good thing that train is there. Yeah.
But then again, you see it, and it's like it'll run once at like 7 in the morning, and then again at 11 at night.
Yeah,
and it's the most inconvenient times. But
do they have like ghost trains up here? I saw a YouTube video about like one in London. I wasn't aware.
I feel like ghost trains are a lot more of a southern thing, but it's still relevant.
Yeah,
it's still.
What started this caveat originally? What did these buses or something?
Buses, Thatcher and all that.
Yes, the buses used to be yellow.
Buses used to be yellow.
Now they're all colours. I like it now. I mean, because I can tell what bus I'm getting on because it's got its own little design on it.
Yeah, but just look at the the X18 or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of like the idea of a bus being yellow. Kind of every bus being the same.
I don't, because it reminds me of the school buses in America.
That is true. But the metro, from what my experience, they're all yellow.
The not new carriages. But the new trains, they weren't available. Or did I just make this up? I'm sure they were
Yeah,
recently.
they've got a new fleet of metro carriages coming in. I think they look pretty cool. They look pretty similar to the old ones, but they're just everything's a bit nicer. Nicer seats. I think you can charge your phone on there.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
I mean, what about charging phones in the metro? Is that really something we need?
I don't know, because I'm only on the metro for like 10 minutes max.
The
and I
longest
carry a
I've been on
charging
metro.
brick with me anyway, so
The
it's
longest
not
I've been
like...
on metro is 20 minutes.
You can charge. You can charge on the some buses, to the
Some
more modern buses. You
buses.
have like Bluetooth.
Yeah, but most of the time on the bus though, I'll go to plug my phone in and it won't, socket won't be on.
I never.
The only place I feel that it's really needed is trains.
Because that's you do long journeys.
Yeah, because back to my hometown,
Yeah.
it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes.
Although if you're on the bus for like half an hour,
Yeah.
it would be useful to have
Takes
the
me
charging aspect.
an hour in the morning and about an hour 20 over night time because I hit rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
And that's another thing we could talk about. The state of like traffic and
Yeah,
what I mean?
well, the traffic around Newcastle's dreadful on the A1. It's sort of like a bottleneck, isn't it? Where you just have all the lanes merging into
a bottleneck near. I assume you lot. I come on from the A1 and go through Gosforth.
I live just over the Northumberland Bridge, and even traffic under there
Well, you can see that. Yeah,
is terrible.
Well, I only get the A1 sort of go. I've only been on the A1 that way to the metro centre, so haven't really been further north than that.
Yeah.
But it is pretty bad around there when it sort of snakes around Newcastle.
Yeah.
But it has to, because there's no other way for it to go.
Yeah.
Angel of the North is tragic.
Yeah.
Tragically bad traffic there.
I mean, the roads around Newcastle just aren't with par. Every time I've driven through, it's just a bit. It's windy.
Yeah,
Doesn't make any sense. It's
Potholes
very
everywhere.
easy to get lost in Newcastle.
Yeah, and they've got the central motorway as
yeah.
well, which is a bit weird.
Yeah. So we talked about airports earlier. So it's recently, a few days ago, the 30th anniversary of the airport metro station opening, and that's the fastest intercity link.
Yeah, the fastest
You were talking about earlier.
train connection from an airport to a city centre anywhere in Europe, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Why does the Northeast always have these sort of like really terrible claims to fame? You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel like that's not a terrible claim to
I think
fame.
it's a good
No, but
one.
I mean, it's not something to boast about, is it? You know what I mean?
I think
Like,
it would,
I come from.
I mean,
Leicester
Newcastle's
Fest.
not a massive city, so it's
Yeah.
not as impressive as saying, from Heathrow Airport to London
Yeah.
City Centre, because that'd be a fast train. But
Yeah.
it's still pretty handy.
Anyone ever been to Heathrow Airport?
Yes.
I've only ever been to Manchester Airport.
I've only ever Newcastle, Glasgow, Manchester,
Robin Hood Airport. I feel like airports in the northeast are a bit
Edinburgh.
precariously placed, maybe.
Well, yeah, because
What airports are in the northeast? You've got
Newcastle,
Manchester,
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Manchester's northwest, I'd say.
yeah,
Oh,
Manchester.
yeah.
You got
In the north, then.
You got Newcastle,
Yeah. Got Newcastle,
Teesside.
Robin Hood Airport in Doncaster. That's
Oh, yeah, I saw a sign
in
for
the
that
middle
one.
of a.
There's one in. Is there one in Carlisle? I mean, we're
Carlisle's
going
not Wales.
we're gonna-
I looked at you. I was
We're
like,
going
Wales.
a bit off geographically here.
But over northeast, sort of synergised. Well, Robin Hood Airport is placed in the middle of a village, which is very odd.
In the middle of a village.
Yeah, whenever I got the bus home from college,
Yeah.
I'd sometimes get one that goes a long way around, and it drives to the airport, and in about 2 minutes, it's in the middle of a quiet village.
That's a bit weird.
It's very weird.
I feel bad, I do kind of feel bad for the people who are living where Heathrow and Gatwick Airport are trying to expand to.
Yeah.
So speaking of Heathrow and Gatwick, you've used both Newcastle and
Newcastle
Heathrow.
Airport, Heathrow.
Well, what was your
Gatwick.
thoughts for like
Newcastle
comparing and
Airport's
contrasting
good.
the two?
It's better than Cardiff Airport. It's about on par with, say, Bristol Airport, which I think is slightly larger. There's a £5 drop-off charge now. So if you want to go in and drop someone off, you've got to pay a £5,
Really?
which I think is a bit ridiculous.
Any
is-
excuse to squeeze money out of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Tory government for you.
But then it does
Exactly.
encourage people to use public transport, which is good,
Yeah.
because I
Which
do
is
get the metro to the airport.
damn expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is true. It
It's
could be
paying
cheaper.
£5 to drop someone off by car, which is a lot more convenient for most people, I'd say.
Yeah,
drive there, drop them
not
off.
convenient for me, because...
Not convenient for you,
Yeah.
but
Well,
So-
I don't drive, so
say if you want to drop someone off and you drive, go there,
Yeah,
And you-
yeah.
yeah, could be a lot better.
I think they should allow rail cards for like the metro discount,
Yeah.
because it doesn't really make much sense that I can get a rail card discount on the train, and then when it comes to the metro,
Yeah.
then I can't use it.
Yeah. So I've got an article here that's talking about how the bus service has fears over the time and where metro funding shortfall. Any opinions on that? It's talking about how the local Democracy Reporting Service said that a report to the North East, the Joint Transport Committee, warned that 40% reduction in metro train services would save just 3.7 million.
This is a reminder. So, what you're saying there is the metro system Nexus has a gap in its funding.
Yes.
I don't know if you could Google, but I read in the news recently. Probably whatever the Transport of London's called, Transport for London or whatever, they're facing something similar. So to me, that's not.
So they're thinking of cutting back services. Is that what the article's saying?
The article I read about London, it's basically saying we need more funding from the government, otherwise we're going under. Well, not quite going under, but
yeah.
And I bet everything that the people in London get it and we get nothing.
I mean, I found the article I think you're talking about. The Mayor of London has said an entire tube line could close if Transport for London (TfL) does not get more funding from the central government.
That's bad. They just opened a new tube line.
Yeah.
What was it? Is it Crossrail?
Is that open? Is it Crossrail?
Yeah.
Or the Elizabeth line? I don't know what it's called.
We're a bit going away, but I did watch a video that it shows how sort of unbalanced the London Underground really is, because there's like a lot less lines under the south in the northern side of London.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
The Thames. The video was talking about how during like the 50s and like all that time, like the 1900s, that they'd buy up stations further down, like Essex, Chiswick. I think Chiswick's. I'm not really familiar with London's geography, but they bought up stations and turned them into underground stations. So then you can get to Essex by the underground, but they never really did that.
Okay.
South, so it's all to do with zoning.
Interesting.
Stuff. But if we shoot back to the north, just get the article back up.
Yeah, I think the government should really be investing
in the north.
Yeah, in the north and in transport in general.
They don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we're all sick to death of this. What's it called? HSTV.
High speed rail 2.
Northern Powerhouse. If I got £1 for every time someone said, "Oh, we've got to do the Northern Powerhouse," I'd be able to retire.
Yeah. And they've just cut back.
Exactly.
What part of the line do they cut back?
Pretty much all of it, from what I understand.
It's still going to. Well, it goes to Birmingham. That's high speed 1, right?
Birmingham's not the north.
Oh yeah. I know that. Midlands.
Proper Midlands.
Does it go to Manchester or where's the high speed?
I saw the only new part. I can't remember. It's from Manchester, like one of the other cities pretty close by, like Leeds.
I thought it was going to go to Manchester, and they cut off the bit that was going to Leeds. I think that was what people were upset about. I think we have to put it in
the context of the government and all these people. As far as they're concerned, we're Scotland here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
the north stops to them. I'm not saying this is true.
Yeah.
And like maybe Middlesbrough, and we're all Scotland.
I mean, looking at the article a bit further, it talks about how the committee's chair, Gateshead Council leader Martin Gannon, said there would be almost certain cuts to bus services and either an increased burden on our cash-strapped councils or even bigger cuts to public transport.
What's the national? Like, is it just the North East that's been hit by this, or
probably would be not?
Or is it just like a?
It's probably everywhere.
Because there's the bus driver shortage.
Yeah,
I know.
My mate just started. It's his first day driving the bus today.
I know.
So,
Congratulations on the new job.
Yeah,
well done, mate.
I'll tell him.
You know what? There's a wrong sound effect again. but
yeah, I think it's a sticky one, isn't it? Because like more people are working from home because of COVID, so there probably isn't as big of a need for public transport right now, and I think that's a trend that's going to continue where people are working at home or at least closer to home.
Yeah.
But then there are still lots of people who need public transport, so I think it's about finding the right balance.
Yeah.
But I don't think cutting buses straight away is the way to go. That I think we need to sort of gradually work out where we're at in terms of bus usage.
I mean, we've had a lot of shortages recently.
Yes.
So we started this January when what line is it? The tunnel. What's that tunnel called?
Which tunnel?
The boat got stuck.
Oh, the Suez Canal.
The Suez Canal.
Oh yeah. Was that this year?
Was that this year? Was that?
I'm not sure. Everything's blended into one since March 2020. It all feels.
To be honest, I don't even know what day it is.
It was either December or January because I remember talking to my cousin about it when I was driving home.
Well, it just shows how precarious these
global economy really is.
Yeah, and these big supply lines.
Because like the bus driver shortage, there's shortages of everything, graphics cards, everything's
and
got.
The service sector's been hit because of Brexit, because you can't get people to work these jobs.
How much of the impact of these things is going to the northeast? I mean, I've not got a figure, but I could take a good guess that the northeast is going to be one of the areas hardest hit by. The people in London will be fine because that's all the government and people care about.
From a first-hand experience, at my work, we've had a lot of shortages recently, and I'm not sure if that's just attributed to the company not really planning ahead for like big rushes in people coming in, or if it is to do with all these product shortages. Because we've not run out of food, it's more like cups, straws.
Okay, yeah.
Like all this stuff that is.
Yeah, well, there's enough food to go around, because I saw a video about all these pigs that couldn't be taken to slaughter because there was just a massive backlog because they couldn't get the workers in.
Yeah. But it is interesting to see how the global economy can sort of come together and impact us.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we've gone. I mean, it's an interesting ideas discussion, but I have a feeling we've
gone a bit off course. So I've got another article here from the Chronicle again. Newcastle city centre in need of serious transport upgrades to cope with 9,000 HMRC staff move.
Now, forgive me, but the city centre, is that Haymarket? Or?
Around where we are now, I'd say.
So it's Haymarket.
Gray's Monument.
Gray's Monument. Okay.
Gray's Monument, I'd say. Would you both agree? Gray's Monument is the sort of centre of the city?
I'd say that's
Northumberland Street.
Northumberland Street, yeah. The city's Lib Dems say big improvements are needed at a time when local metro and bus services are surrounded by uncertainty because of financial crises.
These will be the same Lib Dems who enabled David Cameron, let me guess.
Yes.
I don't care what they say.
But
it's a valid point.
It is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the article we just talked about before that was saying how these bus services are going to be cut back, and now we're learning that, we're actually going to need additional bus transport services.
Yeah.
It's like, what are these people doing?
But again, the only reason they're saying we need additional bus services is because people from London.
Yeah. Well, this
is not new, needing bus services. We've needed these bus services for years.
HMRC confirmed this week that it will be moving thousands of staff from its bases in Long Benton and Washington to a huge office block to be built on the site of the old Odeon Cinema by 2027.
I don't know where the old Odeon Cinema is.
It's
Central Newcastle.
Central Newcastle, yeah. It's we're gonna have a lot more people.
But that could be quite bad for Washington, because I don't know how much industry there is in. Well, I've only been to. There's that shopping centre.
Yeah, I've never been to Washington.
It seems pretty dilapidated. The market in there. There doesn't seem to be a lot going on.
There's only a few places really in the north that aren't dilapidated, so run down.
So the impression I'm getting with all of this is it's very much screw the north unless the south feeds the north.
Yeah.
They don't give a damn about us.
They don't.
I mean, they're giving lip service.
Yeah.
Well, anyone and everyone can give lip service if you deliver.
This is from the Chronicle, so this is Newcastle's newspaper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is Newcastle talking about his own issues. The last article was from the BBC, so they're talking about us at least.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're talking about us because there's a problem.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how much the Conservatives do for the North now, because they have flipped a few major red wall seats. So they're going to really want to retain those voters. So you'd think they would actually give a damn about.
That would be an interesting proposition, actually. Like, will the North finally see investment in transport? Because obviously, I mean, look at this: the beaching report or beaching cuts that closed all those. I mean, recently, I was like, we need to reopen these lines.
Yeah.
Like, well, will they? Because the village I live in, there's always been talk of extending the metro, well, not to the village, but a town nearby.
Yeah.
Always talk about increasing the station, and years and years and years we've been hearing that. I don't think we will get it, because thankfully, well, actually not thankfully, because Ian Lavery is my Labour MP, very corrupt guy.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll get that.
Yeah.
Because we didn't vote Tory.
So, there's one last point. I've got an article here that talks about how, well, I'll open up for discussion. How do you feel that COVID has impacted transport within the North East?
Masks. That's the
the
big one,
But
the headline, if you will.
yeah,
It does annoy me when I see people on the train and the metro today who weren't wearing masks. It's like just put your mask on if you.
yeah, it's
That
hard.
annoys me. But do you know what annoys me even more?
What?
The people who have them on. Well, I don't get the train, but
Yeah.
on the bus, who have them on. A ticket here or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just take them off straight away after.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wear my mask because people are super glued to my face all the time.
I've been wearing mine on the train and public transport since
I wear mine in
COVID in
I wear mine
general.
in stores when I wasn't vaccinated. We'll talk about vaccinations in another
Coming
episode.
up,
Coming up, but
Subscribe, like and subscribe,
like and
guys.
subscribe. Notification, ring that bell.
Yeah.
But we've got an article here from The Chronicle again. It's
Lovely.
talking about how Monument Metro Station's underground micropub plans axed due to COVID-19
A micro
pandemic.
pub.
Yes.
What's a micro pub?
It is just a small pub that they wanted to open.
Why don't you open a pub?
I think that's a bit weird
Because
because there's so many pubs around
Yeah.
around the station. You're literally bang in the middle of Newcastle
you're
City
banging
Centre.
in the middle of the
I mean,
nightlife. as
I
well.
get it for Central Station because that's like an actual proper train station, but not a metro
You
station.
can't need a drink so much.
Well,
To have one there and wait until you get home.
Have you ever taken a metro?
Yes, sadly, I've taken a metro, and let me tell you, needs upgrading.
Exactly, you need a drink after you've been on a metro. But it's interesting that this plan that they've had, that was approved in 2019, has had to be axed due to COVID.
Well, it's not just. I mean,
I think it makes sense though with ventilation and things.
Yeah.
So, ventilation is going to be a massive issue moving forward with construction of any new developments, and I guess it would be more costly to have a micropub underground.
Yeah. Would it not be kind of hard to ventilate underground anyway?
Yeah, probably. You think they already have some of the
Yeah.
infrastructure there, so I don't know how much more they would have to add for a pub. But
I mean, if you look at London, the Central Line in London is people always say it's too hot, it's too
yeah,
like
yeah.
bad,
I don't think it's as
would
bad up here as it is in London.
Yeah.
Comparing the two.
would it not sort of stretch out here because we obviously aren't as developed with our metro?
how old is the metro?
I'll Google that.
70s, 60s, I don't know.
I think it's the 70s and 80s. I'd guess.
I reckon 74 is when it first opened.
1980.
1980.
1980 was when it began operation.
Now that's interesting, because Thatcher came to power in 79. Now obviously it went into operation in 1980. But it's expanded since then, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on?
Well, do we think it should keep expanding? Where should be served by the metro?
Well, the real question is where would be profitable?
Purely because I'm selfish.
Well, that shouldn't be the question, but
It shouldn't be, but it would be.
Yeah.
Where I
That's
live,
how-
that's where I should go. Where I live, I don't want to wait on the bus. I want to walk into a station. Off we go.
Yeah, but
There's
how many,
probably
how many people get the bus?
quite a few.
Quite a few, but is it enough to justify a station?
No.
Exactly.
Well, no, we've already got a station.
Yeah, but a metro station. So any other thoughts, comments before we start to wrap up?
I think in general there needs to be a massive investment in, transport. Not just in the northeast, but nationally.
But particularly in the northeast.
Particularly in the northeast, there's lots of regions. Just the west in general, we're quite bad, and America's even worse. With things like high speed rail, they're so dependent on cars. At least we're not to that level, but you can see that we are sort of becoming more car dependent in a way.
America's got one high speed rail line between New York and DC.
Yeah, I read that Uzbekistan has more miles of high speed rail than the United States of America, which is a bit ridiculous.
I feel like with America, it would be quite hard over there just because of how
corrupt,
self-serving,
gas guzzling.
Yeah,
it's also quite a big country as well.
Yeah.
So's China, and China's got dozens of high speed rail lines.
China, quite socialist.
Anyway, I feel like we're getting a bit off topic.
Yeah. So is that any last thoughts before we start to wrap up?
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
That's my last thought.
Like and subscribe. Comment.
Yeah, tell us about your experiences with transport in the northeast or wherever you're from.
Yeah.
What improvements you think the local authorities could be making.
If you're from America, tell us about your transport experiences in your hometown, home city.
I would just add, I'm not optimistic or hopeful that things are going to change. I think the North's going to continue getting shafted.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see if this funding gap you talk about on the metro is resolved, and the one in London is. obviously the rail in in the south, sorry, that's getting invested in. It'll be interesting to see if we get investment up here. But that's my ramblings, my musings.
So
that's all I've got.
Thanks for listening or watching if you're on YouTube.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you next time
on Perspectives Northeast.
Perspectives Northeast. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye bye.